Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. Happy holidays. I hope everybody is having a really good, peaceful holiday so far. And thank you so much for being with me today. Today, I don't really have a lot planned. I do have a couple things, but it's going to be more about manifesting abundance and health in 2022, because I think that everybody on this call, for example, I feel is here for a reason. It's the way the universe works. It's the way that energy, it's the way vibrations work. And I've kind of been analyzing a lot of things over the last 2 years, always wanting to do research and always wanting to see and try to predict where we're going to need love and peace and joy and healing in the world. And so everybody's kind of gone through some tough times. But the message that I've been getting is that we're really going to need heroes. Like everybody on this call right now is in my feeling is a global hero, because people out there are really having a tough time, and we're going through this transition to a better place, and a place of abundance, a place of better health, a place of hopefully non-censorship, more freedom. But ultimately, it doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter, how many cars you have. None of that matters unless you're good with yourself, with your own life, and you feel like you have abundant and you're living an abundant and a healthy life. I've asked so many people over the years, tell me what makes you happy, or tell me what your definition of wealth is, or tell me what your definition of abundance is. And I get many different answers. A lot of times it's money and fame. However, I've also worked with so many billionaires and multimillionaires and movie stars and the royal family, and that, they basically are depressed, unhealthy, unhappy. One thing I have noticed is when you get to a point where, and this is from the evaluation and from working with a lot of billionaires, is that they always think they need more money to do things, and they think that money is going to make them happy. And to a certain degree, I do believe that, being financially secure is being abundant. It's one of the equations of abundance. However, what I've seen happen over the years is that a lot of people that do have all the money, their health is suffering, they're depressed, they're going through anxiety, they have all these other kind of issues. So what I feel and what I think that we will be doing, and I really believe one of the reasons I was put on the planet, just like everybody that's listening right now, is that we're going to be the helpers. We're going to help people transition into this and through this great awakening, and to raise the consciousness of the planet. And so what do we need to do that? I don't think people need to be doctors. I don't think, they need to be really highly trained. The only thing they need to be is just really good listeners and people that can hold people's hands and walk them to the next stage through the detoxification process of cleansing their body, cleansing their internal environment, cleansing their external environment. And when people start realizing next year and right now, what's happening, especially with their health declining, or, everybody knows somebody right now, particularly with a respiratory tract infection. We have a huge, let's just say, epidemic going on right now. And that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with COVID, but I mean, I know we're getting lots of calls and lots of requests. Hey, my so-and-so has a cough, or so-and-so has a respiratory infection. So, and they need to go travel and see their families. So what can we do this holiday season to start the process off? Instead of like waiting till 2022, let's just go ahead and make a commitment that we're all going to be there for each other, that we're grateful to be in the situation that we're in right now. I think about how grateful I am of just being knowledgeable. Knowledge, if you have knowledge, you have the greatest abundance. If you have knowledge about spirituality, if you have knowledge about yourself, if you have knowledge about, foraging, let's say, for food, if you have knowledge about, being able to help transition or listen or communicate effectively with other people. Knowledge actually is one of the most abundant things that you can have in your life, because you could take every physical thing away from somebody, all their money, all their land, everything, all of their family. How are you going to survive at that point? The only way you're going to survive is just the knowledge you already have. Like I was talking about the other day in an interview, I know that if even in the worst case scenario, if I was thrown down and at gunpoint and brought to a concentration camp somewhere, I know that I would at least have my own urine I could drink, because I could still survive. So first of all, with that being said, I'd just like to thank everybody, because we will be working together. Everybody will, to help as many people as we can the next few years transition. And in order to get to a place of peace sometime, in order to get to a place of joy, a place of happiness, sometimes you have to go through those dark tunnels. The dark leads to the light. It's the yin and the yang. It's the balance that we all have. So to start, I want to dedicate a lot of this call to answering your questions as well. So I'm going to try not to ramble on for hours and hours just about things, but start making a list of some of the questions you'd like to ask. I don't want this conversation to start getting into like the dark of everything that's happening. This is going to be a call about happiness, peace, love, joy, abundance, and health, and how we can all do our part to help everybody else transition to that level of peace and that level of vibration and that level of energy. And it all starts with the holidays. And I know everybody, depending on what your religious belief is, that doesn't really matter. This is a time that I like to celebrate with family, and a time to be in a state of peace, kind of disassociate from the outside world, maybe not pay so much attention to social media. So I'd like to just talk about some of the things that I do over the holidays, and some of the things that I've found are very successful over the holidays. Holidays can, depending on your mindset, depending on where you are, holidays can either be very stressful, or they can be very peaceful and very loving. They've done surveys on Americans over the last few years, and they said that most people feel stressed over the holidays. Most people suffer depression over the holidays. Or they say, what are the top things that affect you during the holidays? And I think either number one or number two was financial struggles and weight gain. You'd be surprised. Just gaining weight. I mean, eating foods is to a certain degree an addiction, and it makes you feel good in the moment, but later on, when you're gaining a couple pounds, obviously you're not feeling good about yourself. You're not feeling self-confident, and everything is all about self-confidence. I mean, I always like to take a step back and say, we're all so caught up in dealing with everybody, employees and everybody outside of ourselves. So for the holidays, for me, it's always like a time where I can say, let me step back from that and be mindful of my environment and be grateful of everything that I have, and just try to be peaceful and joyous during the holiday season. And it's kind of like a detox from reality, if you want to say, because we all need time to spend with ourselves. We all need time to spend with our families, and in a peaceful, loving, and joyous state. And that means, getting up early, eating healthy, spending time listening. I always come back to listening, because it's one of the things that I always work on as far as mindfulness. Mindfulness is being in the present moment, living in the present moment, like really paying attention right now. I've struggled with this ever since I was in school, even, with being able to really be mindful of the situation that I'm living in at any given moment, and in that state of peace. And I have to catch myself. And one of the you can actually work on yourself during the holiday season. I mean, you should do this all during the year, but I'm just saying, for the holidays, for all of us to help raise our vibrations, raise the vibrations of those around us during the holiday season, is just starting with yourself, coming from a state, just telling yourself, you know what, I'm going to come from a state of love. I'm not going to judge anybody this holiday season, because we all have people in our families that we might necessarily not have the same thoughts about what's going on in the world today. And that's just because we're at a different vibration. We're all resonating at a different vibration, a different level of consciousness. Honestly, I've talked to so many people in the last month, and through doing seminars and just hearing through Global Healing Institute and watching stories, and just, through email. And they're all like, I'm really stressed because I have to go visit my family this year, and they want me to wear a mask, or they want this or want this or want this. So I would say probably this holiday season and last holiday seasons for most people are going to be some of the most stressful holiday seasons out there. And that's why it's not really an experiment, but channeling your own positive energy and love and gratitude, and coming into the holiday seasons with that feeling and that smile on your face of abundance and health can change all of the vibrations around you, and help change the vibrations of your family if you're spending time with your family, or you're spending time with your friends or your significant others, or whatever you're going to be doing. So that's kind of the way that I'm going into this holiday season, is just like, I'm going to go in healthy. I'm going to go in with a feeling of gratitude, a feeling of peace, a feeling of love, a feeling of a non-judgment, communicating, letting people talk. I'll do more of the listening this year, and just being there for a support mechanism, because that's what a lot of us are going to be doing for the next few years, is we're going to be there to help support all the people that are actually just now waking up right now. And it's a great feeling when you're helping people, whether it's your own family or anybody. So I would encourage a few things this holiday season, is to try to get your family to be an example of health, be an example of abundance, be an example of peace and joy and radiance and high vibrations. You can do that by avoiding the things that are going to reduce your vibrations or reduce your energy, which is, negative stuff on TV. You can, make suggestions. Maybe you can even cook a couple healthy meals over the holiday season. Make suggestions that you do for the first time an organic holiday season. So you're doing little things that most people maybe not notice, but you can actually eat healthier and avoid all those pesticides and insecticides, and avoid all those genetically modified foods. Bring a salt lamp to somebody if you're going over there, to kind of clear up the air. An aromatherapy diffuser, bring that over there. Do your little things you can do to kind of create an atmosphere of peace and love and joy. And of course, try to avoid alcohol, high fructose corn syrup, which sugars. Most people consume twice, if not 3 times the amount of sugars during the holidays. So maybe there's something you can do with that as well. So help somebody out, even that might even be in need. Some of the best gifts that I've ever gotten in my life were somebody made a Christmas ornament for me. It doesn't have to be something that's super expensive to show that you love somebody, or maybe just give somebody a hug and let them know that you're here for them, to listen to them. So that's kind of my outlook of how going into the holidays, and trying not to make sure. Also, here's another tip as far as health goes. Some of the things that I'm doing to keep myself healthy is I'm trying to eat 90% live foods. I'm trying to eat a lot of fruits, because fruits are really powerful during the holiday season for keeping your immune system strong. So I eat lots of pomegranate and apples and probably about 80 or 90% fruit, and then nuts and seeds as well, live nuts and seeds, with the occasional meal mixed in there on the side. But another tip that I like to do during the holidays is drink lots of distilled water. And that's another thing you can do with your friends, your family, is just have them drink a lot more water. Water consumption over the holidays goes down dramatically. Most people are drinking eggnog and alcohol and coffee and, all these other liquids. And so most people are dehydrated over the holidays, and then they eat 3 or 4 times the amount of salt and sugar. So as much as you can do, try to be conscious of the vibrations that you're emitting over the holidays. One other thing that I like to do for the holidays is to have like a personal development, or a time where everybody sits around in the morning and says what they're grateful for, what they're thankful for, and says something positive to everybody else in the room. If you're with your brothers you haven't seen in a while, your sisters, your grandparents, kids, nephews, whatever, it's nice to just kind of sit around and tell everybody what you're grateful for and what you're thankful for. That's always been something that's been really big with me, is really being grateful for all the gifts that we've been given. And I'm really grateful for the fact that I've been given the gift to be able to help people, because the true definition of a doctor, in my opinion, is a teacher. And I don't even, like I said earlier, you don't even have to be a doctor or have a doctor's degree to be a teacher in health. There's going to be so many millions of people that are going to need somebody to hold their hand and walk them through basic detoxification and cleansing to help their consciousness rise, that I feel like probably the majority of people even on this call right now are even doing that already, or are also going to be, heavily involved in that transition of helping people raising their consciousness here. And I'm pretty sure that everybody on this call has already been doing a lot of that, and answering questions and being there for people and listening to people. Listening is always the first step. It's education. We've been manipulated and lied to and deceived for so long that it's actually really, it's not for us. We're not really being affected that much. We've kind of been in our own little bubble of love and peace and joy and helping others transition. But we have to remember that probably a good 60, 70, 80% of the population has been manipulated and has been brainwashed. And, they're going to have to go through that step-by-step, that baby step learning process and in awakening slowly over a period of time. So do the best that you can this holiday season of just working on yourself first, and then being there for everybody else. And if you can share information with them. I'll say that I did want to touch real fast on the respiratory issue. I'm sure if anyone knows anybody that has any respiratory situations going on right now, one of the things that's been working really, really good that we've been using and recommending is, don't have a bottle of iodine here with me, but if you take a full dropper full of iodine, the detoxidine, and you rub it on your chest right here, then you take another full dropper and you rub it underneath your arm, like where your lungs are. Then you take another full dropper and rub it on the other side of where your lungs are. And then you take another full dropper and you have somebody rub it in your back, your upper back. That iodine will soak in to your lymphatic tissue, and it'll go right to the lungs, and it'll really, really help you with the respiratory infection. And I don't, they've been heavily spraying it for the last month, for those of you that are into following the geoengineering and the chemtrails. So the solution for that, if carry a nebulizer with you as well. If you don't have a nebulizer, that's one thing you can do with the iodine. Another thing you can do is with nebulizing. You can nebulize a little bit of iodine in your nebulizer, fill it up with distilled water, and then put 1 drop of iodine in there, and you can breathe that into your lungs. You can also nebulize silver, like a coated silver or a colloidal silver. You can mix that in with your distilled water. You can actually mix a little bit of your own urine in there as well, and that works. You can nebulize that into your lungs as well. So those are kind of my my holiday tips. Of course, all revolve around drinking water and detoxing over the holidays. Oxy powder. Make sure you take some oxy powder with you for wherever you're going so you can hand some out to your family. So everybody's basically going to be constipated over Christmas. So that's also another way that you can help people go to the bathroom, get rid of all that junk on a daily basis, and just detox them. Negative thought patterns. If you do fall into any type of negative thought patterns, start meditating. I mean, use the holidays too. If you're off of work, is a great time to put some great meditative music on. You can play some 528 hertz frequencies throughout the house, some solfeggio tones. You can find a lot of those on YouTube. And it's just, that actually will help heal your family, even playing really, really good healing music throughout the holidays. You can mix a little holiday music in there with it. But catch yourself if you're having any type of negative emotional patterns. Do some meditation, send love, send energy into everybody, and that will definitely help as well. So I see 2022 being a year of change. I see it being struggles, but at the same time, struggles in a good way, to where we can all, I feel like people are going to get closer. We've already noticed this in the natural health field, where some of the most popular natural health doctors out there, it's just like we never really talked to each other. But over the last year, more and more people are reaching out, realizing that we need to do this together. We can't be separated from each other. We can't be, fighting against each other. We can't be cutting each other down. Everybody, look, there's many, many different ways to heal the body out there. Okay. There's no one way to do it. Everybody has their own unique ways. We should all be working together. We should all be, bonding together, because when you don't have that unity of vibration and then you don't have that unity of energy, the power is not as strong. The power for change is not as strong. So I get on these Telegram groups sometimes, and it's just like people just judging people and cutting them down left and right. And just like, wait, and this is a groups in the natural health. Like, where's all this anger coming from? Like, stop the anger, stop the hate. It's okay if somebody has an opinion that's not your opinion, or the way that you think. It's okay. I mean, we don't have to judge people. We don't have to be angry at people. All you're doing is creating anger within yourself. You're just creating negative emotions. I mean, trust me, every time I do a video on YouTube, I have trolls telling me, cutting me down and ridiculing me. I post something on Telegram, I have people ridiculing me, cutting me down, telling me I'm a quack. That's their issue. That's their issue that they're dealing with. Those are their negative emotions. Hopefully they'll realize that they're holding those things within, and they can get those out and in a positive way. And then, like I said, like we almost have to be the healers. I mean, like I had this vision about all of us in the future, like 20 years from now, and our grandkids and our great grandkids, when we're all written about as the group that helped people transition from these times into the next generation, the next level of consciousness, the great awakening that's happened. And our kids are going to be saying, you were part of that group. You were part of those heroes that helped transition the awakening in, that we're bringing that positive love and bringing those positive vibrations into holding them down here. And so, yes, everybody here is part of that, and years later, you're going to be looked at, you're going to be remembered. When your kids or your grandkids are going back and listening to this call, or all of the connections that you have and all the people, you might not even think you're helping people, but you're helping people every single day. Because I know if you're on this call, you're already in that arena. Maybe you're not, but maybe you were meant to be on this call. That's what abundance is. Okay. Abundance is not, 2020, when I look at 2022 as being the year of abundance and health, it's all about like giving back. That's what in reality, like you might buy something and you might have temporary happiness, but if you have love as abundance and you help people, that sticks with you forever because that touches your heart and that touches your soul. Buying something only works on the mind. It only like creates a small amount of dopamine that gives you temporary happiness. They've done studies over the years. I mean, when you truly help somebody or you truly give back to humanity, that sticks with you forever. That's what you call good karma. That's what you call high vibrations. That's moving you to the next level of vibrations. That's moving you to the next level of consciousness. Not buying stuff is never going to move you up in the level of consciousness or awareness or awakening. See, if you just look at where we are today, we have different people that are awake. We were put on this planet basically to be able to realize that the kingdom of heaven is within us. All the spiritual texts say that, actually. All the great spiritual teachers teach that we have already the power. We already have the kingdom of heaven within. Why do you think the last 100, 200 years, 1,000 years, there's always been a group of people that have been trying to take that away from us, to make us focus externally on things instead of going within and realizing what our true power really is. And so that's why we're going to be, the more good you do for people, the more abundance that you give them through listening and through teaching, through education, that's how you raise the vibration and the consciousness of the people you're dealing with. And then that's how you raise the vibration and abundance and consciousness of yourself as well. It's kind of like the law of attraction. I'm sure most of you have read The Secret. And I remember when that movie came out years ago, and I've been to a lot of conferences with the same people on that documentary. We do have that ability. I mean, we have the ability. We have so many abilities within us. Gosh, I can remember studying instantaneous healings where people just immediately just had this energy come over them and they just got up out of their wheelchair, or they were at a big, some sort of a big spiritual event and they were getting prayed over, and all of a sudden they just got up and they started walking. Like you have the ability to heal. Like there was a hospital in China that was using this practice of energy, and they took videos of tumors live, and they had 4 or 5 or 6 practitioners standing around the patient, and they were just all chanting and putting energy in. And you could literally see a tumor that had taken 5-10 years to grow, that was the size of a grapefruit. You could see it disappear completely within like a couple of minutes. All of that, all healing is nothing more than energy and vibration. That's it. Like that's all we are. Every living thing is all about energy and vibration. It's just like, and that's all healing is too. All you're doing when you're healing is you're getting rid of the negative vibrations or the low vibrations, and you're putting higher vibrations in the body. Like getting a massage, what does that do? It raises your vibrations. Going to a chiropractor, getting a chiropractic treatment, relieving your nerves, what does that do? It raises your vibrations. Putting aromatherapy, using aromatherapy raises your vibrations. Meditating, being mindful, just thinking the word love raises your vibrations. Speaking positive things out of your mouth raises your vibrations. I stopped cursing. I was in the military a long time ago, and it's like every word when you're in the military is like, this and that and that and that. And I realized a long time ago, like 10, 15 years ago, that the words that come out of your mouth are powerful. That's another thing you can work on. If you ever catch yourself cursing, just start working on yourself and stop saying those negative words. Stop judging people and stop. My wife had to catch me the other day, actually, because we were walking in the store and we're in Texas. And I was like, gosh, can you believe it? Like people are still wearing their masks. I was like, gosh, what? I don't get it. She's like, well, you're judging people right now. You know that. And I was just like, oh, I am. It's just like, so you gotta, like, it's very hard for people that everybody is on a different level of awareness and consciousness right now. And just because you might be up on a higher level of consciousness, and there's many, many, many people on the low level of consciousness and awareness right now, they don't understand why I'm not wearing a mask. Like that level of consciousness in the store, they looked at me and they probably said the same thing. They probably said, oh my gosh, I can't believe that guy's not wearing a mask. What does he think? He's putting his whole family at risk. They're all going to die. So we have to understand how everybody thinks. And, we can't be, even me, like I'm trying to work on myself, but then I catch myself doing the same thing, like judging people. Because sometimes it's so hard, like knowing what you know, to even understand how people that don't know and that are on this lower level of consciousness see things. So we almost have to like just be there and be in the middle and just say, I mean, I had to think about that. And I was just like, wow, you know what? They're probably thinking the same thing about me. I feel pretty bad about that, but it's just like, I catch myself doing that sometimes. It's just like, oh my gosh, because it's almost like I just want to say, please wake up, please. But that's why we're here. That's why we're going. That's why the world needs us right now. That's why we're sent down here for this moment. And the reason I'm so confident saying that is because for 20 years, over 25 years, we've all been yelling from the rooftops, wake up, wake up. I was on Capitol Hill. I was speaking for March Against Monsanto, getting ridiculed, doing documentaries on mercury, doing documentaries on fluoride in the water, having the FDA come in my office, almost being thrown in jail, trying to teach and trying to help people understand and trying to educate people on the root cause of disease, the root cause of mental illness, the root cause of depression, the root cause of anxiety, the root cause of everything. If everybody just thought about things like that, the world would be different. What is the root cause of why I'm feeling bad? What is the root cause of why I have hip pain? What is the root cause of why there's fluoride in the water or whatever? And now, for the first time in 25 years, people are seeing it. It's like you have to almost go through some trauma, go through some heartache, go through some chaos for the peace and the love to come out on the other side. And so that's why we all need to be excited about this. That's why we all need to, because this is a huge thing. This is never going to go away. Okay. 20 years from now, people are going to be asking you, what did you do during that great awakening? What was your role? And you're the one that's going to be saying, yes, we were awake. We were shown the truth 20 years before that even happened. Let me sit down and tell you the story. And then they're going to look up at you and you're going to say, you know what, Grandma, you know what, Grandpa, you are a true hero. You are a global hero. You are the one that helped this transition of awareness happen. We're about to get to a point where we're going to reach the 100th monkey phenomenon, and where, the consciousness is already shifting and shifting and shifting, and we're coming into a higher vibrational energy. Things are moving faster. Yes. So just try not to, it's very easy to fall into the trap, the negativity trap, the low consciousness trap. Try your best to not fall into that, and just try to always keep your vibrations high, keep yourself in a state of love, because love is, actually, there's a few vibrations that are higher than love. Enlightenment is the highest vibration. Awareness is a high vibration. Love is like the number third on the list. Okay. Try not to talk as much. Try to listen more over the holidays. That's ask questions and listen. Ask yourself, what do you need to work on to help with this transition into the future? What is going to make you a better person? What is going to make you a healthier person? And there's not much you need to learn about helping people transition. People are going to be sick, and we have a program already. It's a recovery program that we've been working on. I'll be happy to share that with everybody. You can share it. We can't post it online because they'll censor us, but it's something that you really don't, like I said, even have to be a doctor or know what you're doing to help people transition through. It's all about energy. It's all about vibration. It's all about just knowing the truth and helping people with the right supplements, and helping people transition through. All right, so we're going to be doing more of these also, because I feel like the best way to give back is to be communicating directly with the community. And we have some big initiatives too set up. That's kind of why we're setting up the Global Healing Institute, and we're partnering with companies that are really aligned with healing the planet and aligned with the message of education. And Juliet and I, we're talking earlier about helping, maybe putting a group together where we can start sending people that are in need of help, and just have this big forum or have this big group where everybody can help each other transition into the next, through this period, into the next period. So we're talking about doing that, and actually even creating a fund to help healers. Met so many incredible healers over the years. And to be honest with you, most of the best and most fantastic and high energy healers never even went to school. They don't even have any type of degree. Their love is just, they were just born with it, And I truly believe, you were born to be a healer. I've had so many people in the last month say, you know what? I just feel, my job, I'm not getting along. I'm not vibing at my job any longer. I've had at least 4 or 5 people tell me this in the last month. I'm not vibing with my job anymore. I just don't know if I can do this. They're requiring all these mandates from me. And it's just like, I'm getting this intuition. I'm getting this gut feeling that I'm supposed to quit my job and I'm supposed to become a healer. I'm supposed to do something for humanity. And I'm like, yeah, well, listen to your gut feeling, listen to your intuition. And probably a lot of people on this call right now are feeling the same thing. And you probably have already been helping people. And maybe you've noticed it, maybe you haven't noticed it. But I guarantee you, if you're on this call right now, you've already helped a bunch of people in the last year in one way or another. It might have just been sharing a piece of information. It might have been just a hug. It might have been just a phone call. It might have been something, but you're already feeling it. You're already feeling the vibrations rise within you. There's nothing you can do about it. It's just going to keep going and going and going. And so embrace that and use that for yourself, and embrace that and use that for this transition that we're going to be going through and that we're all going to be working on. Manifest that health, manifest that happiness, manifest all of your God-given abilities for yourself, because you always have to be, working on yourself first. I never really understood it. I used to go to these big conventions all the time, these healthcare conventions, and I would walk around, and like 90% of the people that are telling people about their health weren't healthy. They were asking me about what they could do for their own health. I'm just like, why are you, you need to be that image. You need to practice. That's why I always do everything myself and research it before I present it to everybody else, like water only fasting, like uropathy. I'm going to always do everything myself, and I'm going to continue doing it, because if I'm doing it, that means that my goal is to raise my vibration. My goal is to become more enlightened and healthier and healthier and more enlightened. Because, that's how you can really, really help create positive vibrations is yourself. And the great alchemists and the great teachers would always talk about that. In all the ancient texts and the manuals that I've read. And they even say, you know, that's the power of numbers, like it's the power of all of us together. If we all right now on this call got into a state of meditation and brought love to the planet, we could do more as a group than most of the stuff that's being done out there. And there are groups that are meditating right now, actually. They're all getting together and just sending lots of love and blessings into the world. So I would definitely highly recommend that you at least spend 5 or 10 minutes during the holidays in the morning and just send love and blessings to the world and everybody. That's what I do in the mornings. I meditate for a certain amount of time, like 5 minutes of my meditation. I'll just literally picture the globe and just love and white light and peace and joy coming into it and just resonating with it. All right, so now what I would like to do is open the floor up. I'm sure you guys are going to have a lot of questions about intentions and energy and healing and all kinds of other really cool stuff. So what we're going to do is Scott is handling the questions. So Scott, can you pop on and then see about people who raise their hand, if we can take some questions?
Yeah. So on the bottom of your screen, there's a little reactions tab, and you'll see the little raised hand bar with the raised hand. So I see some people have one raised hands, but yeah, just raise your hand. I'll pick you and I'll ask you to unmute, and then we will have you come up. Let's see. Who do we got first? Olga. Familiar face. I'll have you unmute, and I'll.
Hi, Olga.
Yeah,
hi.
Hello. Hi, Dr. Group. Hi, everyone. Dr. Group, I wanted to ask you because you mentioned, I think in one of your last Instagram videos about some NFTs that you're working on with projects with health coins and how you can get coins when you detox. Can you talk a little bit more about that and how we can get involved in those projects?
Yes, sure. So I actually got in. I'm going to back up a little bit because I've been getting a lot of like hate and a lot of people that have kind of, you know, not been too nice to me recently about me posting that NFT, how to buy your first NFT. I want to like clarify this. There's two different things. There's cryptocurrencies, which are going to be like your Bitcoin and your Ethereum and currencies that you use. Okay. People are like, oh yeah, don't you know that that's the Rockefellers and the CIA and the dark forces behind that and blah, blah, blah. That's one thing. I'm not really involved with the cryptocurrencies per se. What I see is this is a huge opportunity for us to help people. I'm more into the blockchain-based technologies that are decentralized. Basically, it's getting away from the government mandates. It's getting your freedom back. It's helping people who are having issues that are, for example, and when I say metaverse, I'm not talking about Facebook. I'm not a supporter of Facebook at all. As a matter of fact, we're trying to do decentralized social media to get away from that. That's the point I was trying to make when I'm talking about metaverses. It just so happens that Facebook calls their thing Meta, which it's just, let's just say it's the digital world versus the real world. So let's just say it's impossible almost for you to be private, okay? They already know who you are. They know what you do. They watch us and all that stuff. What our focus should be on is the positivity. Our focus should be on how can we raise the vibration or work with people that are already in a whole nother world, right? This digital world is already created. I learned about it when my kids, like I saw the mental, what was happening to them, and they were limited by playing, you know, a couple of these video games. You know, we limited them, but I really paid attention, and I've worked with so many parents over the years that have had so many issues with kids. It is a serious addiction of being in these digital worlds. It's a serious addiction being in these games. I've known parents that kids stole their credit cards and ran up thousands of dollars buying these skins and these cars and all these things in these video games. We have to come to reality that this is the next generation. This is happening, okay? There's nothing we can do to stop it. So how do we address it? How do we bring our love into it? How do we bring our healing into it? How do we bring our vibration into it? Do you realize that there's the next generation of kids out there? Let's say the 9-year-olds to the 18-year-olds, this is the next generation. This is really worries me because I'm seeing it and I've been studying it for the last couple years. They're sitting around drinking Cokes and Pepsis and all this stuff. And, you know, we have an opportunity to reach out and to educate. You know me, everything always starts with education. I'm a big believer in education. And there's a huge group of individuals right now where nobody is teaching them, nobody is reaching out to them. And so when I talk about all of us and presenting these NFTs and presenting this, when I say crypto, it's more blockchain because these are decentralized video platforms. These are places people can go to store their files outside of Amazon. It's actually getting away from the centralized systems that we've all been living in. It's just, it's very hard for people to understand, but there's a huge opportunity and there's a huge need for people like us, spiritual healers and people that understand this to help these individuals, this next generation transition into a higher level of consciousness. Now, I know I wanted to back that up because I've been getting a lot of people saying that I'm part of the dark forces and all this because I'm supporting them. No, okay, you have to understand what they're doing, and then you have to come. That's just being aware. That's just awareness. That's just saying this is what they're doing. And so let's figure out a way we can address. Why do you think they're censoring this generation so much? They don't want this next generation. They get all their information from TikTok. They get all their information from Facebook. They get all their information from Instagram, from, you know, all of these mainstream media organizations. That's the head of the snake. That's what we're trying to cut. That's what we're trying to address. We're trying to get these alternative platforms going. We're trying to bring the truth to them is what we're trying to do. So that's why I think that you know, the blockchain technologies and the NFTs have a lot to do with health. Okay. Like people are saying, well, and so does the financial opportunity have to do a lot with your health. I know a lot of people that can't even afford to buy organic food. I know a lot of people that can't even afford to buy organic supplements. There's a lot of people out there that can't even afford to buy our supplements. So, you know, health and finances and technology, they all go the same. Okay. It's like, it's all intertwined. Look at Rife's stuff that he was working on. Look at Einstein. Look at Tesla's stuff he was working on. He was trying to create a free power grid. So you didn't even have to pay for power. You know, so there has to be a certain amount of technology involved in healthcare too. So in technology and learning. So what we've decided to do, back to your question, I'm sorry it was such a long answer, but I feel like it's very important for people to understand why I'm posting information about that now. I can tell you that we've helped so many kids in the last couple of years that have been addicted to video games and have been living in this digital world, including my own kids that I've noticed. And, you know, there's a huge need for that. There's a huge need. Kids aren't even communicating anymore face to face. There's a lack of communication. I've interviewed high school students. I've interviewed junior high students over the last couple of years and asked them, how do you guys go about dating these days? Well, we're all on these Instagram groups, and we just, you know, you see somebody you like on the Instagram group and you text them. This is reality. This is what we're going through. It's, you know, we never even had cell phones when I was growing up. We had one of those old dial phones when I was growing up. I can remember when we got our first TV. We didn't even have remotes. We had a black and white TV. I had to change the channel on it. You know, as healers, as when we're raising our consciousness, we also have to raise our awareness to what's going on in society at the same time. Okay, there's multiple things that we have to do to be able to continue to be able to teach, no matter if you're 5 years old, 10 years old, 80 years old, 50 years old. So I have been supporting blockchain-based companies since 2017 that are exactly that. They're companies geared towards moving us away from, you know, the real world control into this next Web 3.0 is what they're calling it. And we are going into that. You're at the very early stages of it right now. And so that's why, I mean, not financial advice, but I think it's an opportunity of a lifetime to understand how it works and to understand, excuse me, what's going on behind the scenes and to understand how you can be a part of that. And what we've decided to do is we've decided to create, because we've seen so much demand for it, is we've decided to create our own NFT, which is a non-fungible token is what they call it. But it's basically just, it's a project, and it's called the Global Healing Society. And the Global Healing Society, we will create specific healers, like let's just say like pieces of art. And if you are in that community, that's exactly what we're going to be doing. We're going to be helping the digital world, educating the digital world, transition, interacting with them, doing seminars in the digital world. It's the same thing we're doing here in the real world, we're going to be doing in the digital world. And we're working really hard on that. And we're going to also be launching a token called the Healing Token, which healers can use, and we can give out to people to trade in. They can go do, you know, they can earn these healing tokens through different ways. Everything is based along one mission statement. It's going to be community-based, the Global Healing Society, a group of people that are dedicated to healing themselves, healing others, and healing the planet. That's the mission statement right there. It's basically what we've been doing at Global Healing for the last 25 years. Except now we're going to try to help pull all of you together, everybody together. And we're working with, for example, David's Fruit Tree Planting Foundation, which we're going to be planting millions of trees. We're working with different plastic ocean cleanup organizations to clean all the plastics out of the ocean. So basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking some of these tokens and we're going to be utilizing them. Not only that, but also to support healers. Let's say a healer doesn't really have that much money. Maybe they quit their job and they have people that they're trying to help and they need us to donate some products to them. We've already done that, actually. We donated over $350,000 worth of products over the last year, whether it's zinc, vitamin D, the programs that we're using for detox, the programs that we're using for to help somebody recover if they had, you know, the sickness, stuff like that. So like we're already, you know, trying to give back as much as we can to humanity. So we're in the process of really trying to explain that and tell the story. So it's we're hoping to launch April 22nd on Earth Day. That's kind of our goal. And it's going to be a really, really cool project. And we have one of the top artists in the world that's actually creating these healers. It's art, basically it's art. And we're going to start with a certain amount, and then we're going to, you know, continue on and drop another certain amount and drop another certain amount. So in the next couple of weeks, we'll add some links. We should have the social media sites up in the next couple of weeks. And it's a place where we can all collaborate together and share information that we're getting from around the world on what people are suffering from, share different programs, different protocols, and then all work together. As I don't know why it keeps coming to me, but it's just like it keeps coming to me like we're all this big group of global healers and heroes. So more information on that to come, but I hope that answered your question.
Yes, yes, thank you. And so I have to wait to get involved in the project if I want to start investing in this, or
So you'll find out everything through social media. We'll put some updates on this video. We'll post on my Telegram at official Dr. Group Telegram channel. As soon as we have stuff up, we'll start posting everything. David Wolf is on board on the project too, as one of the founders, as well as Morpheus. So we all have the same group that we're going to be all working together on. So as soon as we have that information, it'll be blasted everywhere.
Okay, thank you so much.
And actually, the people that are on all of our groups will have early access. If you're a member of David's group, our group, if the Global Healing Institute, everyone that's already been learning all this stuff, that's already going to be prepared to transition to helping more people, they're all going to have, basically they'll be the legendary healers. They'll be the first group of healers that will, you will, if you own a healer NFT image or piece of art, you're going to always be that group of legendary original healers. That's not to say you're better than anybody else or anything like that. We'll work through all that. We don't want to have any type of, any type of groups or anything like that, but we just want to stay neutral as much as possible. But we'll definitely let everybody know as soon as that's available.
All right. We up next, we got A. I'm going to unmute you and bring you up.
Hi, thank you, Dr. Group. It's really lovely to speak with you. I wanted to thank you personally because your products help my mom. I have loads of them. I work as a holistic therapist, Ayurveda, yoga therapy, hypnotherapy, and Ayurveda especially. Your products really fit within that way of thinking about things. And they're just incredible. My mom had COVID. I gave her a big box of all of this stuff, with nebulizer, all the things, and she literally the next day, along with NAC as well, for some reason that seems to be key with people who've but I wanted to ask you specifically about detoxing heavy metals. I know you said you've got a program to do that, but I'm kind of scared of doing that because I've had mercury fillings in the past. And I know that when I start detoxing, then I get quite a lot of a kind of reaction, and I can easily get kind of imbalanced after that and need to spend some time just sort of getting things out. And Ayurveda has a kind of view of how to do that with like sweat therapy, anything that makes you sweat, or all the different ways that we can get things out. But what would you suggest is a good approach if people have heavy metals? You mentioned the iodine topically, which I think I'm definitely going to try that. But if people start getting a reaction, how do we deal with that?
You just let it go and you slow down a little bit. I mean, the reactions are always good. Whenever you're detoxing, it just shows you that the body is pushing stuff out. I mean, I've honestly, since I started talking about urotherapy, and we've had like thousands of people on the groups and thousands of people that have been doing it over the last probably like 6 months or so. It's one of, I would say, I could say that it's probably one of the most intense detox systems available. And, through Ayurvedic, I would say that if you're doing that, you can never go wrong with too much or too little, because your body automatically knows. It's one of the best ways to capture and to cleanse out your heavy metals. Usually, I totally agree with you. There's two things you want to look at before you do a heavy metal cleanse. That's why we always recommend people do an intestinal cleanse first, and they do at least 1 to 3 liver and gallbladder cleanses first. Because if your liver's not clean, which most people's liver aren't clean, I would say most people, their liver is functioning around 15%. If your liver is above 80%, then you're doing great. Your energy is high. You don't have any health conditions. Nothing is going on with you. The liver is the main thing that gets congested. It's like an oil filter that just gets so congested that you just need to clean it all the time. And that's why it regenerates every 90 days as well. That's why your gut, your first exposure point to all these chemicals and toxins, regenerates every 24 hours, because there's so many toxins in there, which if your gut regenerated every week, you probably wouldn't be alive. So you need to clean and heal your gut first, and then go on to your liver after that, clean and heal the liver. And then you usually do your chemical and then you do a parasite cleanse. That's why we always keep the chemical and heavy metal cleanse for last, because, as you want your body clean to be able to push the metals out. And then we do a parasite cleanse after the liver cleanse, and then we do the chemical and heavy metal cleanse last. We've tried different things for the last 25 years. Nothing works as good. And we've stuck with that. It just works. It's the best way to do it. Intestinal, liver and gallbladder, parasites, and then chemical and heavy metal cleanse. So you do it in that order. Always, if you have the ability, your skin is your largest detoxification organ. I recommend sweating always. I mean, sweating is amazing. If you have your own far infrared, near infrared sauna, even if you just put a sweatsuit on, whatever you want to do, it's amazing if you just sweat and let that stuff come out through your skin. It takes a huge load off your liver. You could also do an enema, like a urine enema. You can mix coffee in with your urine and do that. But let's talk about the root cause. That's what you want to address. Iodine, by the way, detoxifies mercury as well. You really should talk about getting those fillings out of your body.
I saw your video on Gaia as well, and I think it's fantastic, the information. I got a biological dentist, and they used a dam, but it's still, I think it wasn't enough. I did swallow some. I took salt and vomited out whatever was left, but it was still quite heavy on my body afterwards, and I feel like there's more toxicity. So that was really helpful to see the overview from what you said there. There's two other things which I feel they're very big topics, but I would just love to throw them out there. And one is, I know Dr. Carrie Madej, Dr. Robert Young, people are bringing up the nanotechnology dimensions of what, the kind of things that are coming in. And I wonder whether that will also be pulled out. I know Dr. Carrie Madej was talking about taking hot baths with clay, bentonite clay, all these other kinds of things, using hot baths to kind of pull things out of the body, because there's not only a parasite dimension to it, but a kind of heavy metal and the graphene and all these kind of sides to it. So there's that with the sort of artificial intelligence, EMF sort of aspect, which is very heavy, very far out. It seems science fiction, but now all the evidence is coming out, and some people have been speaking about it for years. I've worked in AI, I've worked in tech for a long time, so I'm very much aware of that dimension of it. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. And the other side is the spiritual side. How we do spiritual protection. I know you obviously have such a beautiful spiritual protection, because you have this grace that you're able to present these things to the world, and you're untouched. And so I'd love to hear your approach on that as well. Thank
you. This is exactly why another reason we're having this call is because all of you out there are the heroes, and you're already asking what to do for all the people that are going to be needing our help. We already have a recovery program in place for what's happening. This is going to be on YouTube, so I'm just going to kind of skirt around the issue a little bit so we don't get banned, but we all know on the call what we're talking about here. So when you have biological weapons, when you have, let's just say, man-made ingredients, synthetic ingredients being consumed or put inside people's bodies, your body has never recognized these things before. And when you have especially lots of blood clotting issues, what we're seeing right now exponentially is blood clotting issues, neurological issues, mental roller coaster rides for people. I mean, like, people are like going from depression to anger to fear to violence to everything. It's all because of what's happening and what people are being exposed to in their external environment and in their internal environment. So I will be happy to share the detox program that we have. Yes, I know Carrie and all of those doctors. We communicate on a regular basis. Anything that you do for detox is going to be helpful. I like, the detox baths. However, most people don't have a filter on their bathtub. And so you're basically putting tap water in there, and a lot of the bicarbonates or a lot of the Epsom salts or the clays are just going to be absorbing the chemicals and toxins in the tap water. So anytime you can heat up your skin and you can sweat, that's probably one of my number one ways to push stuff out of the body. The program that we put together specifically addresses those 5, 10, 15 different man-made unknown things that are getting implanted inside your body. Okay. Like the supercharged C60. Iodine, believe it or not, is fantastic at neutralizing nanobots and all kinds of things. I mean, you could put a drop of iodine on a computer chip and it ruins it, because it ruins the communication because it's so oxidizing. It just immediately almost turns it to rust. So it's ultimately extremely effective too to battle the 5G. So there's two things we looked at every possible thing you could look at when we put this program together. Okay. We had to neutralize 5G. We had to neutralize all of the components and, let's say, parasites, metals, weird compounds, man-made things, hydrogels, luciferase, all of these things. We had to look at how do we basically protect against everything, EMFs, because they're cranking up the 5G to create the changes in people and activate the ingredients that they've, put inside of them. And regardless, I mean, basically, we've all been exposed to a certain degree to everything. I mean, whether or not, whatever you're done, it's, you've been around people. No one can live in a bubble. So it's just layers of, what level are you on, and how good. Another reason why you need to stay healthy and you need to stay detoxed and you need to keep cleaning everything out of your system is to keep your own self healthy. Because if we're not healthy, it's going to be hard for us to help humanity. So we all need to be like super healthy, super focused. And you're going to have times where you're going to get something. Okay. Like I was telling somebody the other day, there's a bunch of people that practice urotherapy and a bunch of people that are clean and a bunch of people that are healthy, and they came down with this respiratory infection. I had a respiratory thing happen to me like a month ago, because I'm always around, people, and like the people that are coming to see me, like I don't even see patients, but it's like a friend of a friend came in. She was like severely ill. She came in to see me. She's like hacking, sneezing, 4 days later, then I get the respiratory infection. And I'm like, how's that even possible? I'm like, super healthy. But the thing is, your body has not ever been exposed to some of these biological things. That what's happening right now, people are sharing bodily fluids. These weird viruses are forming. And I mean, honestly, it's like a viral fungal thing. Okay. We've identified. It's this viral. Yes, it has spike proteins, but there's a fungal component, and there's also a parasitical component. And so we have multiple different things. Like Royal Raymond Rife said, he literally watched viruses change into funguses. It's called pleomorphism. If you want to look it up online, type in pleomorphism. So our microscopes don't even go that high in magnification. Rife went to 100,000 magnification where he could view live organisms. And he literally saw funguses changing into viruses and viruses changing into bacteria and all this. Actually, a virus isn't even really a living thing. It's just like it's just a fragment.
In terms of vibration, I know it's at the very lowest. It's at 0 in terms of vibrational scale, because it's completely artificial. And so I think like setting the intention must have a part of it as well. I know people have managed to detox with intention prayer, to say, no, I do not want any of this in my body consciously, and hold that every morning or something as part of a practice, so that maybe their choices later on, if they're about to pick up a blue mask or something, they'll choose a cotton one instead. or maybe instead of putting alcohol gel that may have something, you might use organic one, because you've set that thought pattern really strong in your mind, like, I don't want this in there. And there may be other ways that it works, with grace. So I feel like that is definitely happening, that, we're still here, we're still conscious despite all of that. So there must be something higher that's really making that happen.
Yeah, and it's not so. Even if you get sick as a healer, there's some ancient philosophies that would say, even like the breatharians, okay, like they were the highly spiritual tribes or whatever living in the Himalayas, that some of them didn't even eat and they were healthy. So it's like sometimes you go through a karmic experience, which could be from a past life or could be from something else, and that's just what you need to go through to be able to help heal people in the future. So just know that. I was telling somebody, we were talking about urotherapy. So respiratory infections are different. So your body can be, fairly healthy, but a lot of times it's hard to get to your lungs. So just because you're healthy and just because you're doing urotherapy, for example, doesn't mean if you walk through the jungle, you're not going to get bit by a poisonous snake. So just because you're healthy and you're detox and you're juicing or whatever, doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to get a respiratory infection, especially. So just utilize the things that we've already, but it's not going to probably affect you that much. Like even when I had it, it didn't really affect me that much. It just like, I just had a little small cough and then it went away after about, 4 or 5 days. It takes that long just to get everything out of your system. But a good thing you can do is you can take like in Bangladesh during COVID, what they came out with to their citizens and the guidelines was, we want you to put a drop of Lugo solution in a little bit of water. We want you to snort it up into your nose every single day and then rinse it in your mouth and gargle with it. And that's what they did. And then they just kept their throats and their sinuses clean, because what happens is when you're around people and you breathe in a little bit of a viral, let's say the shedding, or you breathe in a little bit of a viral particle or something, or a couple of them, or it sits up in your nose or it sits in the back of your throat, or it sits somewhere and it just starts breeding and breeding, mostly in your sinuses. And so then when it gets out of hand and it keeps going and going and going, and you keep breathing it into your lungs more and more, that's when it gets to the point where it starts the infection process. So what they did, and this is just, preventative, it's just being preventative. So what they had their people do is just clean out. You can do a neti pot, you can do nebulize some iodine up into your sinuses. You can snort your urine up into your sinuses. You can put a drop of iodine in your urine and snort it up into your sinuses, and then just gargle with it. And that just do that a couple times a day. And that just, especially if you're out and around a lot of people, and that just kills everything off and cleans it. So you're not harvesting it and growing it and growing it and growing it and keep breathing it in and in to your lungs on a regular basis. And the spiritual component is, yes, I'm really big into raising my vibrations and spending, as much time as I possibly can in meditation. And I've learned so much in that, because that's what I believe is really our sole purpose here, is to understand who we are and the power that we have within us as self-healers, as spiritual beings. We're really spiritual beings, and becoming more enlightened and more enlightened and more enlightened. So anyway, yeah, thanks. Those were some good questions. Let's go ahead and take the next person in line.
All right. Next question is from Roy. I'm going to unmute you, Roy.
Hey, Dr. Group, and everyone else who's here. Some questions that we had have already been answered, so I'm going to kind of throw this out there and see what you have to speak to. A lot of people are talking about like aliens, disclosure, a solar flash, like the changing Schumann resonance, also like the mix between so-called termed ascension symptoms and like all of the symptoms people are discussing. There's like a fear perspective that people can have. And there's also like, since today we're talking about vision and the positivity and the high vibration, I'm curious what your intuition and sense is on this thing of like aliens, the solar flash, DNA ascension, all this other stuff?
That's all been around since the beginning of the planet and the universe. And so you've always had extraterrestrials. I mean, for us that have been in this world for, well, I mean, you still learn. We're still learning every single day. I mean, I just have 25 years of learning this, which is nothing when it comes to, think about all the stuff we continue to learn every single day. That all that is, it just depends on what you want to focus your time and your effort on. All that's around. I mean, in my lifetime, the world was going to end already like 4 or 5 times. I can remember like stocking everything up, you know, years ago, even when I was a kid, there was going to be the nuclear war with Russia. And I remember my parents planning for that. And then it was Y2K. And then it was the Mayan calendar, 2020, 2012 or whatever it was. I mean, it's just like, all that stuff's around. It's all been around forever. It's just like, as long as you focus your time, and I'm not in it, and it's not like a lie. We are going through, everybody should always be going through an ascension process with themselves. Like the ascension is never, it wasn't like not there 5 years ago, and it wasn't not there 30 years ago. Ascension's always been going on. It just depends on what group you're in. It's like, what is your destiny? Is your destiny in this lifetime? To some degree, you will ascend, or you will become enlightened, or you will become knowledgeable in one way, shape, or form in the human being state. But yeah, there's simultaneously all kinds of things always going on. You know, there's, you know, all the ascension, all the raising of the DNA, that's going on at the same time. There might be a disclosure, you know, who knows? I mean, there's, you know, there's any of that could happen. An EMP attack could happen at any time. We could lose electricity. That's why, if you're knowledgeable, none of that matters. Not if you know how to survive, if you know how to take care of your health, you should have no fear. You should have no anger. You should have no judgment. So what if, you know, so what if whatever happens, happens, right? Everybody's going to be coming to you because you already know about it. You already have the knowledge. I mean, we've studied all that. All that is a possibility. All that is a possibility that could happen anytime. Like we could have an EMP attack where the whole power grid goes down. But you know, as long as you know how to help yourself and you know how to help people, you will never, ever suffer. You see, that's where the whole knowledge comes in. We just had a freeze not too long ago here in Texas, right? It was down to like 13 degrees for 7 or 8 days. Didn't even faze me at all. It doesn't even matter. However, we had people dying all over town because they didn't know, they weren't knowledgeable. They were getting in their cars with their garage door down and starting the engine and dying of carbon monoxide gas to warm themselves up. Knowledge is the most wealth that you can ever have in your life. Remember that. Knowledge is the most wealth and the most abundance you can ever have in your entire life. So it doesn't matter the aliens, doesn't matter any of that stuff, you know, because you already know. You know how to take care of yourself. You know how to purify water, hopefully. You could take our iodine and put 2 drops in lake water in a gallon, and it's going to be pure. You can burn some wood, crush it into, you know, get some sand and burn the wood, make your own charcoal, pack it up, sand layer, charcoal layer, sand layer, charcoal layer, punch a hole in the bottom of a bucket, put water through it anywhere, and you're going to have water to drink. I mean, I would highly recommend learning a little bit about survival if you don't know that already. Mike Adams has a good, like, I think a 9-hour audiobook on how to survive, you know, a catastrophe. Look, we've already been going through this for 2 years. I mean, think about it. Like, if you would have asked somebody 5 years, you know, and told them that we're going to go through this big, huge, chaotic deal. I mean, we already knew about it. We already knew it was coming. We were talking about this in 2018, even earlier. You just have to read the playbook. I mean, it's so all the stuff that they're trying to do, and I say they trying to do, are the dark forces that are that just want power and control and want us to be dumbed down and want to take away our spirituality, which, by the way, iodine is one of the best ways to decalcify your pineal gland, which is your third eye, which is the activity of you becoming more enlightened and becoming more spiritual. That's that, and keep you unhealthy has been the plan. But I mean, if you know that, then you've already made alternative plans on what you can do to take care of your family, what you can do to make sure you have it. Look, you can sprout foods in 24 hours. Okay. You don't even need a garden and wait like 3 months for the potatoes or whatever to get ripened. Sprouting is the best possible way. You can instantaneously, you just have a bunch of seeds, you can sprout stuff and you have food. And, most people don't know that they can literally go pick grass from the yard and juice it. If they just have a wheatgrasser, you should always have a wheatgrasser on hand, so you could like even get the juice out of grass. You can't eat grass, but you can get the juice out of it. There's so many different things. Most people have everything they need to survive within a mile radius of where they live. Yet they will die because they have no knowledge on how to survive. So again, that's why knowledge is so important, and that's why you don't even focus on. I mean, honestly, you need to know a little bit about that. That's why you pay attention to these groups. That's why you read about what's going on in the Telegram groups. I mean, just my group, David Wolf, Health Ranger. There's a couple other. You know who everybody is. Ty and Charlene Bollinger. The Truth About Cancer. You only need 2 or 3 groups to follow. Pretty much the same stuff is posted on every group anyway to just understand, but don't get hooked into it. You're just looking at that as an educational standpoint, but you're focusing the majority of your time on yourself and on healing and learning and becoming more knowledgeable to help people transition through this whole process and to help people recover.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great, thanks. Okay, Lone Star, I'm going to unmute you.
All right, cool. All right, cool. First of all, thank you, Dr. Group, because I've been using your supplement since 10th grade of high school. Started with iodine, was thrown up for like a week, which was hilarious because I had so much toxin built up. Doing your full body cleanse right now, it's really fun. So when it comes to AI in the metaverse, have you heard of Singularity Net?
Yes.
Like stuff with like Ben Gortzel and whatnot. Have you been paying attention to what they've been doing with like Sophiaverse, Sophia DAO, and Rejuve?
Not enough to where I could talk intelligently about it.
So Sophiaverse, what they're basically doing, they're making it a metaverse where your avatar, like you can create an AI avatar and people can interact with those AI avatars in that verse. So I was like, okay, that's weird. And then they're going to use the human interactions to build the mind of Sophia, which is Sophia the robot or whatnot. So Sophia DAO is like a governance token for this AI mind. And I just had some thoughts or whatnot, basically like, what if certain people hold like a good amount of these tokens to basically have a decent say-so into like basically mapping the mind of this AI or whatnot? Would anyone be interested in doing something like that? Like, how does that idea sound?
So I have looked into that and looking into a few other, I'm a little bit weary of when you understand what they're trying to do with what they're putting inside of you. That is to a certain form AI already. It's called transhumanism. And there's plenty of information and people that have been talking about that transhumanism agenda. You can type that in Google and you'll pull up all kinds of information. Singularity, they're not the only one. There's actually groups and groups of people that are 2 or 3 layers deeper than them. Okay. I'm not going to say any names, but you probably can guess who I'm talking about with Microsoft and different organizations and groups of people that want to create a transhuman future, which means merging yourself. And this is not what I'm in, by the way. This is what I'm. Hopefully, we can try to prevent some of this from happening. because if they had it their way, there would already be chips implanted in everybody's brains. And that's one of the reasons why I haven't looked too deep into the Singularity project, is because there's some other projects out there. There's always good and bad. Okay. There's always good and evil. There's always going to be that, because that's the yin and the yang. That's how the universe works. Like, you would never even know what happiness is without sadness. Okay. Like, we always have to have a counter energy force in our lives. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here to learn, and we wouldn't be here to, interact. I wish I could say I knew where that was going. I mean, I do know where that's going. They want to be able to record your emotions, record your thought patterns, record your actions, record basically everything about your life to use for their own purposes. And if you look at the 5G implementation, they have to have some sort of electromagnetic frequency, which is another iffy, reason why I'm not too into the VR right now, is because of the EMFs, and you don't know what kind of frequencies they're going to be putting between your ears when you're in a VR state. I've experimented with it a little bit. My kids are into VR. I don't think there's any way we can avoid it, right? Like, there's so much money going into it right now. I just think that I'm looking at it from more of an educational component of how can we help educate the people that are going into these metaverses, these digital worlds, to some of the possible dangers, or how can we protect them? How can we protect their brains possibly as well from, how can we maybe educate them so they have another look, they start maybe questioning things a little bit more about what's going on. Ultimately, I think that their main plan is to be able to control through digital platforms like that. That's kind of in the let's say the blockchain space, or in the metaverse space, or the virtual reality space. It's hard to know like who the good guys are and who the bad guys are right now. But just be aware, just be aware of what's going on and what's happening. That's kind of my 2 cents. I am not an investor in any of that. I'm more or less looking at projects that are like supply chain, like VeChain, for example, or blockchain companies that will be competing against Twitter, against eBay, against Amazon, some of the more centralized companies, or even banks for that matter, or ways to communicate with each other, or projects that are more into health, or doing good, or doing communities. For example, Farmers Marketverse is a company that we partnered with, and they're working with teaching people in the metaverse how to organic farm and about organic agriculture, and they're setting up a market to where you can have your own market and talk to other free-willed people. And that's I also see it as a way that the community can come together. Anything that's there's always going to be bad and everything, but anything that's going to be good, and who knows, maybe I'm not judging because I don't know enough about it. Maybe there will be something good that comes out of that. I don't know. All I know is this: from a spiritual component, I believe, and I'm not 100% sure, I don't know how that would work, but I believe that we need to keep our body and our mind as pure and our soul as pure as we can, without any man-made devices in us or attached to us. I feel like that's the way that we were created, and that's the way that we can achieve enlightenment. And when you do start achieving enlightenment, you already have a higher vibration of consciousness. So it goes back to kind of an argument, not an argument, but an issue that I've had talking to lots of scientists over the years, because I've always been the type of person that has not really believed in science, especially all the days that we looked at and evaluated the medications and the prescription medications and all of the, if you look at everything that science has created, or the majority of stuff, it opposes nature. It opposes what God creates. And when I talk to scientists and they're like, well, where's your science behind that? And I'm like, you know what? We need to get away from that. That's part of the issue. You guys have been led to believe that science is the overbearing, everlasting educational model that, oh, science has to be right, and we have to fact check everything from science. Where has that gotten us? That's gotten us to the sickest country in the world, the most polluted globe in the universe, probably. It's gotten us to where all the water's been poisoned, all the air's been poisoned. What good has science done for us? Nothing, practically. What has nature done for us? Nature provides us with sunlight. It provides us with vibrations. It provides us with energy. What does getting to know ourselves do to us? Meditating, becoming mindful of others, healing others, provides us with what we need to survive, with what we need to thrive. Science doesn't do any of that. So it's like, for me, when someone says like, trust the science, or like, look at the science. Now, to a certain degree, I'm going to look at science on how to build a water distiller or something, but I don't even really consider that science. I consider that more instructional mechanisms, or instructions, or educational material that you're going to learn something that's going to be beneficial for you or beneficial for somebody in your life. Like, that's what we should be learning, and that's what should be taught in all the schools. Schools don't even get me started on that. Those are a disaster. We are teaching the wrong. Another reason why I feel we really need to focus on this next group of, I mean, from the 3-year-olds all the way up to the 30-year-olds. I mean, it's just like this next generation. Like, we got to save this next generation. Of course, we got to save this generation too, but people have to want to be saved too. They have to have the availability. Right now, there's a huge campaign to censor this information. And if you notice, like I said earlier, where's all the censorship happening? All the censorship is happening for this next generation that's coming up. So yeah, we have a lot of work to do on that. So we'll see. We'll leave that one hanging with the VR and that whole ecosystem and everything. I'm not downplaying it at this point. I haven't invested in it, but I actually haven't done a lot of research in it too, because I've been too busy with other, real positive projects we're working on.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thanks, Lone Star. Gina, you're up next. I'm going to unmute you. Hey, Gina.
Hello, Dr. Group. It's really nice to connect with you. And I want to let you know how much I appreciate your positivity, because every time I've ever listened to you, your positivity is contagious. And in my world, attitude is everything. And I just appreciate that you bring that and you live what you teach, and that you teach, because there's so many people who they have a feeling that if they share and teach what they know, that somehow they won't have it anymore. And you're absolutely not that way. So I always enjoy learning from you. And what I recently learned from you, I watched your NFT YouTube video and I purchased a black buffalo NFT. Your son is very creative. It's so cute and it's so powerful. And I purchased one of the farm ones as well. So I did take your advice and I appreciate that investment. And there was something that you were giving if we purchased one of your sons, and I can't remember what it was, but I think it was a one-on-one with you. So I want to figure out what I need to do to collect on that. But I also
real fast. Thank you so much. He's going to be like really happy about that. Trying to get him into doing some entrepreneurial things too. But he puts a lot of love and energy and meditates into those. And so just Juliet will contact Juliet through that email right there in the chat, and she will book you on that. Okay. And yeah, and a 1-hour health consultation with me. And you can talk about anything you want. You can ask me anything you want. You can address any type of condition that you might want to address, and I will put together a program or protocol for you. By the way, just for everybody on this listening in today, all the healers, we have programs. I'm part of these groups with these doctors all over, and I constantly, they send me information about different things they're using and what they're doing for different illnesses and conditions. And so we have, and this is a really important point that I'm hoping we can all just share this moving forward into the future. We have programs and protocols for every single condition. We're not allowed to share them. So if you ever have, you can email Juliet and say, hey, I'm working with this individual that has Morgellons. For example, somebody contacted me the other day, said, I got a patient, they have Morgellons. For those of you that don't know what Morgellons is, it's one of these conditions or diseases that's been around for a long time, that doctors have basically labeled you insane if you go in, because you have these fibers growing out of your body. It's linked to Lyme disease in a way, but it's very, very difficult, and people suffer for 10, 15, 20 years before they finally find somebody that knows what to do to eliminate it. So of course, oh yeah, we've been dealing with that for ages. We've been dealing with Lyme disease. We've been dealing with all kinds of fungus deals. Anything you can possibly imagine that's a case, we've already dealt with it over here. So if any of you are in a situation like that, feel free to email Juliet and just say, hey, do you have a program for this? Or do you have a protocol for this? And if you're on our the Telegram channels or the Global Healing Institute channel, you can always reach us on that too. The programs are sometimes long, and sometimes there's always like some educational material that comes along with it. That's why we don't post all these long things on the social channels. We're not going to advertise your email address or anything like that. It'll be safe and secure, and we'll just email you the whole program. So now, with that being said, yes, I know you have a question, Gina.
Yeah, I appreciate your information, all of it. I actually, what I do for my work is I am a freedom coach, and I've been living freedom my entire life, and especially the past almost 3 years. I lost my son February of 2019. And he lived 23 years, never spoke a word, and never was able to move his own body. But he and I were partners, and he was a powerful, powerful creator. And he's an even more powerful, completely spiritual being now. So the healing journey that I'm on and now trying to help others with has a very, very high spiritual component to it, because like I said, my son spent 23 years and never spoke a word, but he taught, and he taught everyone. And I learned from his last 7 years of his life, he was on a ventilator. He had a respiratory virus that was another one of these in the same category. It was called RSV, and this was in the year 2012. And he wasn't supposed to survive, and he did for 7 more years. So the way that we did that was we did it our way. And I didn't have very many friends. I had no friends in the white coat community, because when we left the hospital and they said that he would live maybe 2 weeks, I turned around and looked at him and I said, we'll see about that. And we lived another 7 years. He lived his life. We carried that damn ventilator around with us everywhere. We traveled to other countries. We lived more than most people live in their able-bodied conditions today. So that the power of the things that you teach and that you talk about and you live, I appreciate with greatness. And I now live in Mexico, and I am here until next February. And I am trying to create retreats and trying to find like-minded people. And it's funny because I'm now finding that here you are in Texas. I'm from Texas. My home is still in Texas. My office is in Texas. So when I finish up here in Mexico, I'm going to migrate my way back to Texas and hopefully be a part of the Global Healing Society. Right now, I share, this is my container of your medicines that I use and that I teach people about. And I need to figure out how to get them delivered here to me in Mexico, because I have a following who wants to take all of these things that I'm teaching about. They're all holistic and natural. And so I guess that's probably something I can talk to Juliet about also.
Well, that is an incredible story. Thank you for sharing that with us. Yes, about your kid. That's amazing. It's amazing what the children can teach us, and that's missing from the education system. One of the biggest things I think that's missing from the education system is teaching kids about themselves, and then how they can teach us as well. Unfortunately, we just don't listen to them as much. There's so many indigo children. Most of the indigos are around our age, but the rainbow children, the crystal children that are being born in, and their powers are being taken away from them. Their spirituality is being suppressed with, the injections they're getting and the foods and all that other stuff. So it's like, it's crazy to think of what's happening, but that's why we're here, to share this information with everybody and to help everybody out. Unfortunately, about a year ago, Mexico started stopping our shipments. So it's really hard to get things into Mexico. I wish that they've been really cracking down, all the countries, over the last couple of years. 4 years ago, they started taking all of us down off of Google and the search engines, all the big natural healthcare sites and information. They started censoring us. And now over the last couple of years, we've started seeing them put out information to all the border countries. And it's becoming more and more difficult to get our products into different countries. So I wish I could help you on that, but unfortunately, that's something that at this point in time, I don't know how you're getting them in, but however you're getting them in, keep doing that. It's obviously working. And I love the idea of being a freedom coach too, because freedom, when we're talking about healthcare, feeling free is feeling empowered. Like I never would even think about going to a hospital. Like no one in my family, I delivered my kids myself in my bedroom. Like my kids have never, the only time my kids saw a doctor's office was on Christmas Eve a couple years ago. And he fell and hit his head and sliced it way open. And it was hanging open. And I cleaned it out really good, fixed it up with butterfly band-aids and everything. We wanted to go see, and we went to this emergency clinic, which was the only place open on Christmas Eve. Sat there for an hour and nobody even, wanted to come work with us. And I finally just picked up and said, you know what, this is exactly why I don't go to the medical places, and treated him myself, cleaned it out, stitched it up. And he's been fine ever since, and actually closed even better. I've had, I blew my knee out, tore my ACL, tore my MCL in a ski accident. My leg was hanging to the side, pushed it over myself, healed it myself in 90 days. The first case of an ACL, completely healed 100%, grew it back. 3 months later, I have videos of myself running side to side as fast as I can, jumping up and down. And I have a newspaper event. All the orthopedic surgeons in Houston said they still ask me about it. They still say that's never been done before. Science, never been done. No one's ever healed before. So, my thing is freedom. When you talk about freedom, you're talking about financial freedom. You're talking about healthcare freedom. Yeah, I mean, if I get into a car accident or if I have some sort of an emergency, I want to go to the best surgeons in the world. Like I want them to save my life. I want them to put me back together. There's nothing, that's you're in an emergency situation. We have the best medical care actually in the world if you're in an emergency and they need to save your life. But that's the only case scenario that we're really, really good at. We're not good at diagnosing. We're not good at maintaining. We're not good at managing. The allopathic model is based on symptomology, treating the symptoms. It's not based on treating the root cause. So good job.
I agree 100% because throughout my son's life, he was very frail, but he was freakishly healthy, just like me. And he was a medical mystery. And when he got that first pneumonia that put him in the hospital, he was 16 years old. And I asked the doctors, we were in ICU for 60 days before he finally had to be, given the tracheostomy surgery and put on a ventilator. And I asked one of the doctors in the elevator, I said, why haven't you used my son for your studies all these years? And he looked right at me and he said, he's too healthy. And I knew right then, I'm in Cook Children's, the biggest private children's medical facility that there is. And that's the mentality. And so there's another way. And that's what my definition of freedom in my practice is I am freedom. And if I'm not freedom, how can I coach anybody else towards freedom? So I say that I have the freedom to make my own choices and create my own reality in every aspect of my life, mind, body, and soul. And yes, financial freedom is a big component of the mental freedom and emotional freedom. I think we've given this away. And I think that's part of the plan is to reduce us out of humanism. And I think humanism includes the emotional freedom that people aren't even aware they've given that up. So thank you for doing your part to remind us of all of these things and to just be such a beautiful, spiritual, intelligent healer in this world. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Just what we want to teach people is that everybody has the ability to heal themselves. The true definition of a doctor is a teacher, not a prescriber. Everybody has a self-healing mechanism within themselves, and everybody has the power to heal. Now, they do need teachers. They do need guides. They need someone to walk them through and hold their hand along the way and teach them about all the toxins in their external environment and teach them about the toxins in their internal environment. So thank you for everything that you're doing.
Right. Thank you, Gina. Blake, I'm going to unmute you. You're up next.
Hey, Dr. Group. I wanted to share and give you some feedback on some things that I learned from you, and then ask you a question, because I feel like you're one of the only persons that I think could maybe field this question, and you could probably help me save some time. So very briefly, 6 months ago, I suffered from gluten intolerance and like undiagnosed Crohn's disease my entire, until I was about 25. And then I started, doing a gluten-free diet, like cutting out all the bad crap that people eat, and I got loads better. And then, after I completely, I guess you would call it non-responsive to gluten and stuff anymore. I was riding a motorcycle because I had my life back, right? And I got hit by a person that didn't know how to drive. If you had asked me, like, to this point, I'd still say I was doing what I wanted to do. I just didn't like the outcome that happened. So then, long story short, I go to the hospital. They say I have a Galeopsy fracture in my left arm, which is not fun. Don't recommend it to anybody. But then I got chronic regional pain syndrome after all the drugs and narcotics and everything wore off. And that was a really different experience for me. I went to every doctor. They said, there's no cure. Like, you're always going to have this pain. I took everything on planet Earth for painkillers. None of it worked. I went to this seminar, which they say basically it's like you do a lot of meditation and you do like all of this. You get real with yourself about like what you really value in life, and then who you want to be, and like get to know like your real true self. And so I had never done any of that before. And so I experienced from that. I learned about urine therapy from you. I've been doing it. I don't even. I messaged you on Instagram like the first day I did it, and so I have to look back and see. But I've done it pretty much every day since then. I jumped in both feet and just started just drinking it. I understand. I plan on taking a course and everything on it. But I wanted to do it because I've had asthma for the longest time, and I recently got diagnosed with like COPD and like this. They said like I just have this cough and it's, you know, whatever. And so I was like, well, surely I can just, like, it's Texas, right? I can just walk down to like a medical supply place and just get a nebulizer. Well, it turns out you can't, or they just wouldn't sell me one. Because I have to have like a prescription or something, which is, you know, I think it's ridiculous. And so I noticed when I first started doing urine therapy, I was completely off all the drugs. I would say my pain went down about 50%. Like I just started taking it, and I was like, well, I trust Dr. Group, I'll do it, right? And so I did it, and it's been the world to me. I went to the seminar, and it took away basically the other 50%. And like Master Co was there. You may have heard of Master Co, I don't know. But I found that I'm much, before going to the seminar, I was very like stressed out and panicked, and I was worried, and like I was fearful of everything, and the world's gonna die, and like a lot of things that everybody has, you know, talked about previously. And I just noticed after that, like I'm in like such a this like just internal zen, happiness, peaceful place that just, it feels like all of my pain just kind of, well, not all of it, but a very big majority of it, you know, probably like it's probably like 95% gone, maybe 100, who knows. But what would you say, do you think, and how can I better appreciate and deepen this spiritual practice that seems to have helped me just be a better version of myself and love everybody on the planet and not really freak out and stress out about everything? Like, can you speak to that and like the reason, or maybe like why it would cause me to feel this great, or you know, so sorry for all the questions.
No, well, congratulations. There's like billions of people in the world that would love to be pain-free and to be not suffering from all the emotional issues and everything else. I mean, it just goes back to where you were guided to. You listen to your gut feeling and you listen to your intuition. See, if we just listen more to ourselves, our body will give us the signs that we need. Like, do you know that in most cases, when you have something going on with you or something that you need, most likely it's already in your surroundings and most people never notice it. Now and the reason I say this, I talk to like natural healers all the time, and it's like they have a brother, let's say they have a brother or they have a sister or something, and the sister's husband's been sick for like, 10 years. And here's this natural healer going, I've got everything that they need right here. It's like, but they haven't even come to me. It's like, it's right there in front of your face and you don't even listen or you don't believe it. It's like most people have all the answers always right there in front of their face and they never see them. They never recognize them. So you took on the responsibility of, you were led, basically what happened was you had a vision or something popped into your head. You were led to go over and listen to my thing on urotherapy. It felt right. You listened to your gut feeling, you listened to your intuition. And then like my intuition was telling me to come out and talk about this. Everybody else was saying, you're crazy to talk about this. No one's ever going to buy from you anymore. I said, I don't care about any of that. 90% of what we do at Global Healing is educational stuff. The products we have are only like 10 or 15 or 20% of what we do here. And I just did the products because I wanted to take good products, and I couldn't find any vibrational products out there that met my standards. And, we're still the only company that's not radiating their raw materials and radiating their products on the end of the lines that they go through. So, I just wanted good quality supplements, but I mean, you did it, and you did it yourself. So that's why there's a lot of healers on here, and you'll know that if you had somebody that came to you and said, my mom told me to come see you, that you're going to heal me. Or my husband told me to come see you because you're going to heal me. That's why it never works. And that's why you always say, you know what? I don't heal anybody. You heal yourself. You came here for me to educate you, or they sent me here for me to educate you and to teach you how to heal yourself. And so, and there's a big difference in energy there. When someone comes to you and they are taking responsibility for their own health, and they're coming to you because they said, they know, hey, I'm ready to heal myself. I'm not doing it for somebody else. I'm doing it for me. That's a big part of the healing process right there. You did it for you. You felt it, you did it. And now, this is the beginning stages of it, but now you found the basics. Look, someone said to me a couple of weeks ago, how much schooling do I need to become a healer? I said, all you need is about 6-7 hours. Go take my root cause of disease course on the Global Healing Institute. You will know, and you'll be able to explain to every single patient, no matter what disease they have, step one. Step one is always explaining to the patients or your clients why they have the condition that they have. Always. Once you explain, because we used to say, tell me why. Hi, how are you doing today? Welcome, John Doe, coming in. What's bothering you today? Oh, I have this and that. I have cancer. I have a million different things going on. Okay. Then our question, and this is what every healer should ask. Tell me then, why do you have all that stuff? I don't know. Maybe the food I've been eating, maybe this, I don't know. Has any doctor ever explained to you why you're suffering from all the conditions that you're suffering from? No, they haven't. Wouldn't you like to know why you're having all those things? I mean, I'm not going to rewire the electricity in my house unless I learn about electricity first. Let me teach you why you have all of your conditions are from two things: your external environment and your internal environment. Your external environment being toxic and your internal environment being toxic. Now, let me explain to you why you have your diabetes. Then you go through that whole thing. All you need to be able to help people is to be able to explain to them why they have their condition, which is all in my course, Root Cause of Disease, which most of you already know it anyway. Then the second step is to walk them through the detox. You got to detox them out. You got to detox their external environment, detox their internal environment, and cleanse them, their intestines, the liver, the parasites out, the chemicals and heavy metals out. That's step number 2. And then step number 3 is to reevaluate. I mean, you've already taught them all that stuff, and you're teaching them how to live a better life and how to be a better doctor. So just keep doing what you're doing, and just keep cleansing, keep on the urotherapy, keep meditating. Every time you meditate, you're going to be getting stronger and more powerful, and then giving back and being grateful for everything you have. So good job. That's awesome to hear.
Have you heard of like this, like AN frequency sound therapy stuff? Do you know anything about that?
Sound. See, sound is the basis of all healing. Okay. What you're doing, no matter what you're doing with healing, is you're infusing some sort of sound. Sound creates light. Okay. Plants take up light through photosynthesis. They vibrate. You can actually, there's people that, I posted a clip where someone plugged in a sound resonator into a mushroom, and they literally played the sound of the mushroom. So, yes, everything that you're doing is sound and light and vibrational healing. Sound creates light. Light then penetrates and resonates at certain frequencies. So no matter what you're doing, even our supplements, we look at the vibration of them. So sound creates vibration, light creates vibration, livingness, energy creates vibrations. And so ultimately all healing is based on energy and vibration. So sound is a big part of that. And that's why you're ultimately you're seeing some of these sound-based healing modalities, whatever they are, PEMF or frequency-based healing modalities that are out there. That's what Royal Raymond Rife used years ago. That's what many people have used: sound-based, frequency-based, vibrational-based healing. All right.
Okay.
So here's what we're going to do. We're running a little bit out of time now. So I'm going to take a question from Ryan, Laura, Cheryl, and Melissa, and then we'll end at Melissa.
Okay, let's see, Ryan, just want to see if you're there. I'll ask you to start your video and unmute, or you can just unmute if you don't want to be on camera. That's cool.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right, awesome. Hi, Dr. Group. I was just wondering, really, I want to know what you see as the future of vibrational healing at Global Healing Center. I watched your interview with Dr. Halabi. I've been working with it for a couple of years now, and I love it. I've mostly been using it to heal myself, but yeah, I just wanted to know if you are planning on just like working with other people, or if you're like trying to integrate it into your company.
So that's really the core of everything that we do is vibrational healing. So everybody on this call, we're basically, getting really good positive vibrations right now, not just from me, but just from everybody, because just because we're seeing everybody doesn't mean that we're not connecting with everybody on an energetic level or on a vibrational level. We're all connected. We're all connected. That's why we feel it. That's, the people that are very highly spiritual or highly on a high vibration or enlightened, we feel the vibrations. Like I've walked in different rooms and different areas, just like everybody here, and you can immediately feel like the lower vibrations. Mm-hmm. So all the products that we create are very highly vibrational, and we're working on a way to analyze the vibrational frequency of those and show people that it's the vibration and the energy that heals you. That's just like Einstein said. Now, you have to be careful. I don't think that we need to be like hands-on healers per se. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want to work with somebody hands-on healing, most people that are doing like Reiki and that are doing hands-on healing that aren't really experienced with it, this would be my caution, is that you can take on the negative energies of the people that you're working on. And I was trained in that. And then I met a guy and talked to him for a long period of time. And he introduced me to some books, and that was a whole nother long story, but of me learning and finding out about how careful you have to be when you're interacting with people and doing hands-on healing. And I stopped doing it after that, because I think that we all have the power to teach people how to raise their own vibrations. And to a certain degree, you will take on some energies. And we would go to these big conferences, these hands-on healing energy conferences. And honestly, over the years, I've had so many people that have practiced hands-on energy healing come to me because they're suffering health-wise. It's just, what I have to say about that is, I have to say, like, we can do more together of raising the vibration of the planet and the frequency of the planet, and people working on themselves, working on raising their own vibrations and teaching other people how to raise their own vibrations, I think is more powerful than doing the actual hands-on healing. But I know a lot of people, like Tarek's a really good friend of mine. He does it for me. So I'm not downplaying it at all. I'm like, as long as you're careful is what I'm saying. As long as you're careful and you're protecting yourself, so you're not bringing in a lot of negative entities and a lot of negative energies when you're doing the hands-on healing. That's what I'm trying to say. But the basic answer to the question is, everything is in vibrational healing. And so that's what we're trying to do. Think about emotions. Your body, and when you go into a state of fear, or you say a cuss word, or you say something negative to someone, or even think something negative to someone, your body drops 12 hertz. Your body's vibrations just instantaneously just go down. So that's why, when you talk about raising vibrations, you want to talk about thinking positive thoughts, speaking positive words, listening. It's like working on yourself is the best way to increase your vibrations. You go do a healing session on somebody, a vibrational healing or a hands-on healing session. They have all kinds of negative, patterns and emotions with their significant other, let's say husband or wife or something. They're in a violent relationship. They come home, and next thing you know, they're right back in that state. You didn't teach them how to work on it and how to deal with it, raising their own vibration. So ultimately, even if you are doing hands-on healing, you should at the same time be teaching them how to become their own healer.
Beautiful. Yeah, I love it.
Great. Thank you, Ryan. Okay, Laura, you're up next. I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself.
Hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Hi.
A little bit. Hi, Dr. Group. So your knowledge reached Sweden. So my English is not so good, but I'm gonna try. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So I want to ask you about cold baths. You know about this?
Yes.
How it's healing the mind and makes you like you have so much energy about after this. Can you talk about more about this?
Yeah. So it's in short, it's just another way to balance out your system and stimulate or activate the vagus nerve. And cold baths or cold therapy has been utilized, for hundreds, if not thousands of years. It's just a way to kind of turn on and reset everything. So I studied the Wim Hof breathing method and started doing some cold baths with him.
Yes.
And been looking into, and that's great. Any modality you can choose, it's going to give some sort of positive vibration to the body is great. There's so many of them out there. There's so many things to choose. You can choose laser, you can do aromatherapy, you can do massage, you can do chiropractic, you can do cold baths, you can do breathing techniques. That's the beauty of it. There's so many. You could go hug a tree and increase your vibrations. There's so many things that we're provided with that we can utilize to increase or to better ourselves and to raise our vibrations. So yeah, the cold therapy is I do like it. I haven't seen anything really negative about it. It's been a very positive thing. It's been positive for me too. I try to do it probably like, just depends, but maybe at least once every couple of weeks or something like that. I'll do it in the shower and just crank the water, especially right now in Texas. When it's a little bit chilly out, we can do a little bit more cold therapy. So as people that live in hot climates all the time, it's good to kind of shock your body a little bit to that cold as well. Even when I was in the military and I was going through military training, part of the training process is to put you out in the cold and to expose you to that cold. It's just, it creates an immune response in the body. It helps your immune system, and it's a good thing to do. It's just balance. Everything's always about balance. So if you're inside and you're toasty warm, it's good to give yourself a little bit of cold. And if you're doing urotherapy, that's going to be in Ayurvedic, it's going to be more of a heat coming into your system. So, what they say to do is, balance out, especially if you're drinking your urine warm, maybe 20 minutes or 30 minutes after that, have a cold glass of water, try to balance that out. A lot of people just drink hot stuff, drink coffee all day long or anything like that. So it's always good to another good thing to do with the yin and the yang and the balance, just try to balance out your hot and cold. And with people living in anger a lot of times, and people, being in negative emotions, they have a lot of, they say your blood boils, right? Like it's, you get hot, you get heated. So it's good to cool yourself off every now and then. As a matter of fact, they did studies on the best temperature to sleep at night. I think it was 65 degrees Fahrenheit was the best temperature to sleep. So you're supposed to kind of cool your body off at night as well when you're sleeping. That's why it usually gets colder at night, because it's at night is a time when your body is relaxing and your body should be cooled down. You shouldn't really be heating your body up. If you're sleep, well, first you shouldn't sleep ever on a heating mat, because those heating mats put out like super high levels of harmful electromagnetic frequencies. And you shouldn't be sleeping on a memory foam mattress either, any of those, anything that's toxic. You should always have an organic mattress, organic sheets, organic wool pillow. Your bed should always be fully organic, and you shouldn't have any electronics around when you sleep, and it should be pitch black. And that's when you should sleep, when it's fairly cold. That's a time for your body to cool down.
Okay, great. Thanks, Laura.
Thank you.
Okay, we got Cheryl's up next. I'm going to unmute you if you want to turn your camera on.
Not really.
Okay, you don't have to.
Dr. Group, I have a question. What are your thoughts on colostrum and it healing leaky gut? And I caught your interview with Dr. Somerville, and you can heal leaky gut with vitamin D too, right?
Yes. Leaky gut is something that is gosh, it depends on your lifestyle changes, on how easy it is to take care of. I think it's actually pretty easy to take care of. It's just changing your diet. You're looking at the root cause, like, why do you have leaky gut? You have leaky gut because the beverages you're drinking or you're consuming, the food that you're eating and consuming, and maybe it could be something in your environment based on stress or anxiety or depression or something that's slowing down your bowel, or you're living in a sympathetic state where it's really hard for you to digest your foods. So that's what we would always do for leaky gut is the first thing you do is you do an intestinal cleanse with oxy powder and Floratrex, and maybe throw some aloe vera in there. And then you do the liver and gallbladder cleansing, and then you do the same thing, get rid of all the parasites, and then you do the chemical and heavy metal cleanse. Then you're looking at all the external things. You definitely want to get off of gluten. You definitely want to get off of dairy. You definitely want to avoid any pesticides, insecticides. You want to switch over to organic foods. Make sure, I'm not sure if you're a coffee drinker or not, but coffee is very acidic, and that's something you can either eliminate, or you can buffer that out with some herbs or something like that. But just making sure that your coffee is organic, because it's full of pesticides and insecticides that are burning holes in your bowel, and get off of any type of microwave food. The thing is, the gut heals incredibly fast. The gut heals really, really fast. It has to. So usually, but if you keep contaminating it and you keep burning the tiny little holes in it, it's going to take a while for it to heal. Vitamin D, for sure. Vitamin D is one of the things that I recommend everybody stay on is vitamin D. That's vitamin D and iodine are kind of the two things that the miracle supplements that I take on a regular basis. And I just cycle through all the supplements, I use my gut intuition, and I basically have a counter with every one of our supplements on it. And I can't just like take everything every day. And I don't even recommend people taking everything every day. I might take like 4 or 5 or 6, in the morning, just whatever. I have been taking the Supercharged C60 too, just because I'm around people. And the Supercharged C60 is amazing at preventing EMF exposure. Because if I'm around EMFs, if I'm driving or something, or, I want to make sure that I have that protection inside of me. So I do the Supercharged C60, which is basically like having shungite inside of your body. And shungite is one of the things that they make all those EMF protection devices out of. So as far as, the good news, I know it might not sound like good news, but the good news is if you have any condition you're suffering from that's in the bowel, you're actually really blessed, because the bowel is like one of the easiest things to heal. So that after that, I would stick with, I would be taking Floratrex every day. I would be taking the aloe that we have every day. I would be taking oxy powder about, once every 2 or 3 days, just to keep everything clean, and then changing up your diet and only drinking distilled water. That will also help clean out your and help repair your leaky gut. Iodine actually is also really good to help repair leaky gut as well. So it's not that difficult. Just eat a lot more live foods. And then actually, I didn't even mention it, but urotherapy. The urotherapy is going to be incredibly effective at healing that tissue, because you'll have epithelial stem cells in your urine. You actually have in your urine every single day, you have stem cells for all of your major organs and systems in your body. So it's one of the best ways to just get a stem cell treatment.
Right. Thanks for that, Dr. Group. Before we get to our last question from Melissa, I'm going to mention that we're going to let Dr. Group go after this, but if you all want to stay on and have a conversation with each other, I think it would be an awesome way for everybody to connect. I'm going to open up 4 breakout rooms that you guys can jump into and out of, and we'll leave this meeting open as long as everybody wants to keep talking. So if you want to stick around afterwards, I'll open up those breakout rooms. You just click on the breakout rooms in the bottom and you can talk amongst yourself, and that would be great. So Melissa, you've been waiting a while, and I'm going to unmute you and ask your question.
Hello.
Hi, Melissa.
Thank you so much for teaching, educating us. Your liver cleanse forever changed my life. I had been suffering for the past 14 years, which was half of my life. And urine therapy has also changed my life. And I'm now living truly like pain-free without any issues. My question today is, I have it written down. For those who are addicted to internet, video games, and etc., what can we do to help them? I have been reading on their emotions, that these people may have anger, depression. How do we reach out to them and help people out in this situation? And I'm asking because I'm sure there's a lot of people that have a similar, or a loved one, a son, daughter, brother, sister that are in younger generations. And I just want to bring awareness more than anything.
Oh, if I knew the answer to that question, I would, definitely share, because I think every situation is a little bit different. So my older kids started getting into Fortnite and these video games. And at first we were like, my kids never had any electronics. They played in nature and they had crystals and stuff. But when they were in school, this is before we put them in school for a little while, and then we ended up pulling them back out and homeschooling them. But when they were in school, we saw like the corruption that was happening, and it's really tough for these kids, because all the other kids are doing everything exactly opposite of basically probably what all of our kids, or the people on this call, which is another reason why I think we need communities. And I've even been talking to Del Bigtree and some of these other healthcare practitioners about, it might not be long before we all have the only community of healthy kids that aren't sterile anymore, And I was even joking around actually a couple of years ago with my son, and I said, just the reason why you're staying healthy is because one day your sperm might even be worth $1 million. And I was just joking around. But now, we're seeing all these children. I mean, this next generation, that's why it's like the sterility, the video games, all of this stuff is like, what's the solution to that? Like, I think we're the first group that's actually recognizing, we're going to be developing the protocols and the systems for that. I can only tell you that listening to what people have done and parents have done, number one is limiting the amount of time and recognizing, like, I could literally see a change, an emotional change in my kid, even after, initially he was playing like a couple hours a week, and that's nothing compared to what these kids are playing nowadays. They're playing just a tremendous amount, and it really does have an issue. And he was like, no, there's no issue. And I was like, yeah, there is. We can see it. And so then you try to find games maybe that aren't so violent, and get them into more stuff like, chess or Monopoly or backgammon, or something that's like mathematical, that they actually have to choose and to think a little bit, and stimulating for the brain. Or, just try to find other, games or other solutions for them. But all their kids are out there, the peer pressure, all their kids are out there playing in all these other games. And I think, sitting down with your kids, one of the things that we've done is like every morning at 6:45, we all meet as a family. It's like a personal development time to where there's no electronics. Nobody's allowed to touch any electronics in the morning until after our personal development. And that's going to be at like 6:45. Everybody comes in, we all meditate for like 15 minutes. So everybody's and then we talk about, different things. And it comes back to education. Like maybe I'll put a video on about somebody talking about the negative effects of video games have on the brain, or you can find all those videos on YouTube. I'm subscribed to a bunch of different channels. And so, but just to listen to your kids about asking questions. Hey, what are some of the things you're excited about in your life right now? What's going on? Who have you been chatting with lately? It's you have to try. Kids don't want to they don't really want to tell you about the issues that they're having and stuff like that. For example, there was just right here in our hometown, there was a Boy Scout. He was an Eagle Scout. He was the star football player of the high school, was raised in a fairly affluent neighborhood. Everybody knew the family. The kid was like the most popular kid in high school. Like all of a sudden he commits suicide, a couple Friday nights ago. And it's like, everybody is in complete shock. Like this was like the kid that was like voted going to be the most successful kid, so everyone was like asking questions like what was going on. And the parents were like, he never showed any signs. Like, nobody knows what happened. Like this was the model kid that you would never think this would happen to. And so these are the kind of the things that we all need to figure out. Like just by asking questions is what I always do. Like, tell me what's going on. What are you the most happiest about in your life right now? What are you the saddest about? Are you having any issues that you feel you can't talk about with us? Are you happy with your schedule? How's your health been? Are you, just asking as many questions as we can and just trying to navigate through that. I mean, there's, some parents will just completely give up, say, hey, there's no more electronics in the house. It's not allowed. And then they will usually go through temper tantrums. And this is the side effects. It's like withdrawal. It's like you take a kid's phone away from them, you take their electronics away from them, and they go through withdrawals for 2 or 3 days. We've noticed that. And then all of a sudden, after like 2 days, boom, they're just like regular kids again, going outside, playing, like they forgot about their phone. They forgot about electronics. It's the environment that you create and the environment that you allow. If you allow that environment to where the kids can play on their phones all day long in video games, they're going to do it. Okay. Cause that's more satisfying. It gives them dopamine. It gives them satisfaction. It gives them that instant happiness. And they don't have to find something to do on their own. But if you take it away from them they're going to complain. They're going to fight. They're going to, do all that. But after about a day or 2 days, they're going to start, if they don't have electronics, they're going to start finding other stuff to do. Okay, so what we did is we said, okay, you have an hour a day to play an educational game. And so they just started playing chess, and they like really got into chess. I don't mind if they play chess for an hour every single day. I'd much rather be playing chess. It's a strategic game. They have to think. They're creating brain neurons. And they're competitive. So we solved our situation, and they just now we took all their games away from them, and they said, you can find, if you find something that you will give you an hour a day that's educational. And so they both found chess, and they've been playing chess an hour a day. So that's a win-win situation. They're happy. Their mind's not manipulated. They're happier than they've ever been before. And they're building their neurons in their brain every single day. And so chess it's a game. It's still a game. It's still giving them that gratification, but it's not some useless killing game where all they're seeing is heads getting blown up for an hour, and they're getting these negative messages and the cussing and the, all the stuff that's going on, because kids now, they're chatting with each other on these games. And, then you got to be careful about the whole pedophilia thing too. I mean, you got to pay attention to what your kids are doing. Look, when you were a kid, I guarantee you knew how to do everything behind your parents' back. Your kids right now, if you have them, they're doing the same thing that we did. So it's not, you just have to pay a little bit more attention.
Great. Thanks, Melissa.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Sorry, I have to go, everybody. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to spend time with my kids because I'm on break right now, starting from the end of this call. So I have a bunch of stuff I'm going to do with the family, and that's what you should do. Look, it's only a few days. I mean, regardless of if you believe in Christmas or not, it's always a good time to spend with family and with yourself. And please feel free to hang out on here as long as you want and talk. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a couple hours. Have a great, wonderful, highly vibrational holiday season. And let's all send that love in those vibrations to everybody in the family and our families, and try to eat healthy and try to do good and go into the new year on a positive, high vibrational state. So thanks again. And thanks for joining. Everybody that is also a member of the Global Healing Institute, anybody else out there, I wish you only the best. Lots of love and blessings. And until next time, see you then, probably next year. Take care.